The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the podcast belong solely to the hosts and not the host's past, present, or future employers. Hello, everybody. This is Brian, breaking down security part 2 of our discussion with Dave Kennedy this week. We talked last week about offensive security tools and the pluses and minuses of releasing them, and we start this week with a very simple question of what tools do you think potentially should not have ever been released? Ms. Berlin made a comment during the taping of this that she had a friend who had a tool that he wanted to release, but because of potential backlash, decided to not to. So, we'll hear some of that, and we'll hear some of Dave's opinion on that. We also talk about Derby community, how that's being used to create a sense of family at conferences, which now, for the most part and for the near future, are going to be mostly online. I would recommend, if you're at home, working from home in the new normal, which is everyone's calling it, that you look out online, stick your head up a little bit, get on Twitter. There's a bunch of companies putting out content. There's a lot of companies putting out videos and trainings. A lot of companies are reducing the costs of their trainings. I know Chris Sanders has reduced the price of all the trainings on his website. So if you go to Chris Sanders 88 on Twitter, he has some information on that. We've had him on the show numerous times. Excellent instructor. Definitely want to check out his curricula if you are interested in getting some additional training or some skills in that regard. BreakSec will continue. Ms. Berlin and Mr. Betcher, I'm sure, are as me, are committed to trying to create content that kind of takes you away from everything that's going on in the world right now. We won't downplay the coronavirus stuff, but we also won't go out of our way to try to mention it. As a matter of fact, at the end of the show here, you'll hear us talk about our Slack. We have a Slack that a lot of active people. It's actually become more active since the work from home has started. We have a dedicated channel to talking about all things global pandemic illness, but we try to curtail that on the rest of the channels. So if you are tired of looking at the CNNs and all the mainstream medias and Twitter and Facebook and God knows what else, we do have a somewhat of a haven to escape the infosecness, or the sickness, if you will, and the illness and the discussion of that, and to try to create a community where we can still talk about security things. We got people asking questions about logging and VPNs, and our book club is still going on, and I try to post discussions about training and tutorials and things in various channels. So please come in and join us. We have instructions at the end of the show for that. So have a great week. Please be safe. Be kind to one another. If you are within 6 feet of one another, say hello. Thank your neighbor. Thank the people that are giving you food through your takeout or your drive-throughs, your takeaways. If you're in a country or in a region that still has that. And remember that there are some people out there who aren't as lucky as us working from home. So they deserve more respect than we're giving them, I think, on a normal day. So appreciate everybody for listening, and have a great week. So we talked about, like Ms. Berlin, she said she had a friend who didn't release their tool. Dave, do you believe that there's any time or any tool that you've ever seen where somebody's like, talk and release here, and was there any tool that you ever thought, maybe you shouldn't release that one? And if you're going to call anybody out, we don't have to call anybody out or anything specific.
Sure. Yeah, and what's interesting about like Autosploit, for example, was one of the first tools I ever released called Fast Track. and it was a exploitation framework for getting a remote code execution in systems. And one of the first things I ever did was a autopwn system where it would integrate to all, before autopwn was ever released. It would pull all of the exploits inside of Metasploit. It would port scan a system and automatically select what exploits were applicable to those and try to get shells back. So it was a brute force of exploits, right? And that was the first tool I ever released at ShmooCon. Now, It had a lot more functionality than that. It would have the ability to do SQL injection for remote code execution, MS SQL as a brute forcing, a number of other techniques, but it was just kind of a small thing that it would typically do. Sorry for the background noise here. My wife is apparently printing a printer. 1 second.
Hey.
All right, I got to text her really quick here to say no more printing. Hang on.
By God, she can do whatever she wants. She is an awesome lady.
It's fine.
Oh my God,
we can add Dave's printer to the podcast bingo.
Yeah, there you go.
But one thing I'll say is that there are tools that have things like 0 days in them, right? And I don't agree with that. I think that if there's a way to fix an issue with a vulnerability, you should do it. Right. And you should work with that company to fix it. But if there's things like command and control infrastructure that helps the red team, that helps people actually do adversary emulation and test the effectiveness of companies, I think that is absolutely viable. Again, I don't condone what the verbiage or the language of the CDC was back then, the cult of the cows back then, when they were like, hey, do this or do that. But it was effective in changing the times of what they did. Microsoft wasn't paying attention to security those periods of time, and they changed very substantially, and we're better off because of it. We have ASLR and data execution prevention and stack canaries. We have all these abilities to really make exploit different. A good example, I remember writing one of the first exploits for return-oriented programming at the time. It wasn't called ROP gadgets at the time. And it took me about a week and a half to build this exploit that was off of SLMail at the time. It was an offensive security thing, and ended up becoming one of their modules. And it took me about 2 weeks to basically write this module, and to get around data execution prevention took me about 2 weeks. And there wasn't a lot of documentation. There was a Frack magazine article from, I think, Egypt at the time. And what ended up happening was, Microsoft was like, whoa, you could basically bypass all of our ways of doing buffer overflows. And now we're going to do a lot of protection around that. They came out with MED at the time, and the Enhanced Mitigation Experience Toolkit. They built that a lot into the Windows 10 operating system. They really made the operating system substantially more secure because of that research that happened. So again, we are better off today from a technology perspective because of the research that happened. But there is absolutely the case to be made for collateral damage. Again, are we better off now? I believe so. Was there collateral damage that happened before in the past? Yes. But we are better off because of it.
Right.
Dave, I think these vendors, whenever they have the choice of just putting out a crappy signature or actually fixing their tool or things like that, I think it all comes down to money. And I've actually seen cases where I believe that they do not make their tool better in order to sell services, right? So have you seen that, and what's your take on that?
Yeah, it really comes down to the company and the pressure that they get, right? For what they're seeing. I think that most companies try to do the right thing, but at the end of the day, it's a time risk perspective of how much money it's going to cost to actually address it, and what you're able to do. We actually are running into an issue right now with a company where we did a pen test for an organization, and we found a 0 day for an application, and we have NDAs with our customers, and we don't have NDAs with that third party that we tested, right? And so we notified the third party of the 0 day of what we found, but the company itself is trying to bury it, basically saying, you cannot have your third party release this information, and we want you to tell this company while you're under NDA that you're not allowed to release this information because it will be damaging to our company. And obviously we want to create a CVE, make sure that everybody's addressed with it, they do their appropriate patching, and they're not allowing us to accomplish that. Now we're looking at ways of trying to kind of look around that, legal ways of trying to help others out with it. But you run into companies all the time that do not address problems in their organization, and they rather just kind of move down the road. And there needs to be a mechanism for trying to help others out. There needs to be a mechanism for forcing those organizations to really address their security program problems that they have within their companies. And I think, the methods that we have with CVEs, releasing 0 days if they don't specifically address it over a 60, 90-day period. For us specifically, I mean, if a company says, listen, it's going to take us a year and a half to fix this vulnerability, cool, got it. I understand it's a really complex situation. You might not have the time and effort to do it. Can we track this as we go along? But we'll wait a year and a half before we actually go and do it, because it's the best interest for everybody else out there. But if you completely blow us off and ignore us, we need to force you to figure out a way to address these exposures out there to make the world a better place again. And that is very important, I think, for this industry, for making technology better, for holding companies accountable. When you do IT, when you do IoT, when you do new technology products, you have to have a responsibility around security and addressing your own home.
Dave, would having clauses in your contracts discussing, like, we discovered an O-Day, maybe it's in a vendor that they're using, like, let's say, I'm not trying to put it out there, but Cisco comes up with some fairly good humdingers here. If you found something in that, do you have language in your contracts with your customers to say, okay, there's an O-Day in this Cisco kit, and we need to disclose that to Cisco? Do you have those kinds of clauses in there?
We do, but traditionally what we have done is we have let the customer determine whether or not we can communicate that out to the public. Because what we view our assessment is the intellectual property of the customer itself. And this is actually the first time where we've had a customer say, listen, please don't disclose this because my third party's pissed at me if I do. And so in that case, we have to look at it from a not pissing off our customer, but at the same time trying to help others that may have the same software incorporated in their environment. And so I think we're going to look at revising our legal language to say, listen, if we find a 0 day in your environment, we will hold the third party accountable, and we will eventually publish this as a CVE so that others can track it to understand what risks and exposures they have as well. We might not publish the exploit code, but we will definitely publish the CVE. And I think that's very important for companies to think about.
Right.
Would it help to get a third party get involved with the third party, with the software vendor? In other words, to anonymize both you and your clients?
You mean like a broker or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the problem we run into is that with the current language, our NDAs basically bind us to that customer for its intellectual property. So we can't really reach out to a third party to disclose that information unless the third party customer is involved in that discussion, right? And currently the third party customer is being strong armed by the software vendor that provides all that software that's integral to their business, that they're concerned that it might hurt their position in the company from a security perspective based off of that. So it's a really interesting political dilemma that we're currently involved in. Now, granted, we're not going to release the code in any way, shape, or form to get remote code execution things that we're not going to put harm to people, but we want to hold the software vendor liable as well as accountable to fixing the issues that they have there, and ensuring that all their customers get those so others can't actually go and exploit that. And I think that's really important. And that's why I think we'll do definitely a shift in our language where we own the ability to contact directly as well as release the information around that regardless of the third-party customer as part of our master service agreement.
That's good, yeah. Let's see.
So Dave, keeping in mind that today's problems are yesterday's solutions, for example, you go all the way back to DLL sideloading, to WMI, to PowerShell. What's next on the horizon here? What do you see as the next, like Graber memory injection technique type thing?
I still think that C# and .NET are still a viable exploitation method for most companies. The integration into detection is very recent and still kind of coming through. So I think, you still have a very long exploitation path for that. Where
like
I
the
think
compile on the fly type stuff.
Yeah, like deserialization techniques, the ability to use any type of C# code to get remote code execution, leveraging living off of land binders and scripts. It's interesting because I do a lot of speaking around the world, and I'll actually ask, like, let me get a raise of hands who's detecting living off of land bindings and scripts. And I rarely get one person in the audience that actually says, yes, I'm doing that. And so, you look at that attack surface, you say, well, we still have a long ways to go as far as that's concerned. Where I honestly see most of the area of opportunity from an attacker's perspective is going back to the lower level programming languages like C and C++. Most organizations have very little detection for remote code execution in the lower level programming languages. And honestly, most of our C, C++ stagers completely go undetected in every capacity, regardless if you're using an EDR product or antivirus product itself. So I see lower level programming languages, and going back to the exploits of traditional 90s and early 2000 exploits as being very viable for most organizations from a lack of detection perspective.
Right.
What's old is new again.
That's absolutely right.
So before we move along, unless we have more questions, there was one that I saw later on after with the whole Twitter thing, and I don't mean to bring it back to that, but a friend of the show, he helps out with Hack the Box. He's got some awesome YouTube videos on how to hack the Hack the Box stuff once they've been released, IPPSec. He said, to people upset by red team tools, if you can't detect an open source tool, then what chance do you have of detecting private one-off tools? It's much easier to automate a battle against 100 duck-sized horses than it is to face off against a single horse-sized duck. The reason I put that one in was I was like, yes, if you can't detect what's already publicly known, how are you going to, it would be impossible to detect what is private. So, Dave, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think a public disclosure of tools allows companies that have an already established security program to be able to effectively detect those. The problem we run into, and this is where I agree with Andrew's point, a number of other folks that are on the opposite side, is that what do you do from a company perspective where you have organizations that don't have those capabilities, that have one person dedicated to security or not anybody at all? And so you look at it and you say, well, there's a large percentage that don't have the full capabilities out there. And that's really where you have to have a shift, I think, in the industry, where if you're doing business and IT, you have to have a security component for that. And it's gross negligence if you don't. And so my opinion is things like the MITRE ATT&CK framework as a great example. They map over several hundred techniques that map down to several thousand subcategories of techniques. That's an overwhelming thing to accomplish in an organization, but those techniques are things that have already been publicly disclosed that you can start to build detections for that have a large percentage of efficiency around looking at that. And that's where I really have a problem right now with this industry, is that we are solely focused on looking at very specific signatures, whether it's command line arguments, persistence, lateral movement. We look for signatures of things that have already happened. Why are we not looking at the behavior that they exhibited? Why is PowerShell communicating out to the internet in the first place? Yes, we're going to have false positive, but can we baseline normal traffic and then look for deviations of those? We have to be in a model of a constant mindset of threat hunting, where we're looking for already established command and control infrastructure. We're looking for command line arguments that are unusual. Why is Bob in sales not executing PowerShell? Why is Bob in sales not executing command line argument? We have to look more at the behavior of things that are exhibiting out there than we can rely on our specific tools. I would tell you that I don't care what EDR product you're using. I don't care what antivirus product you're using. If I modify or change my code in some way, shape, or form, I'm pretty much escaping what you're doing today. And that is absolutely a problem, right? We need to be focusing more on the behavior of things, dedicating people to be able to actually identify them, and really focusing on trying to make the industry better based on behavior techniques than it is looking for specific signatures. And to my opinion, if a tool disclosure completely jacks up your entire security program, you're doing security wrong.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Ms. Berlin, Mr. Betcher, any other questions?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I do want to discuss a couple things happened within the last few weeks. Well, this one's actually happened just shortly after Derbycon ended. You created something called Derbycom or Derby Communities, and apparently it's been kicking off like gangbusters. There's just tons of folks getting involved. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is all about, considering I'm also a conference organizer and, was thinking about maybe hooking up with Derbycom, but, not really understanding everything?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, we are recruiting for help. So if you want to help organize the overall Derbycon communities, I could use help because it's just me right now.
Okay.
And I'm very effing busy. So I'm behind on going through all the submissions right now. So I apologize for anybody that submitted a Derbycon submission the past month or so because I've just literally been destroyed. But one thing that Derbycom was supposed to do is that, I heard from people, and I hear it literally every single week, that Derbycon was something special, right? That when we went to the conference, it was a family feel. Everybody was welcome. Things changed drastically because of Derbycon, whether it was, the mental health village, whether it was,
that's right.
New conferences spawning because of it, whether it was just the, people feeling welcome and inclusive. It was all for everybody. And people wanted to reciprocate that entire thing, in different areas. And so when we ended Derbycon, we created Derbycon communities, which is a way for you as an individual to get the same type of feel that you experienced there, to light that spark, to create other local communities, whether it's a forum, a local chapter, whether it's a conference, whether it's a kids and community event. The ability for you to help your own individual area, very similar to what B-Sides has been able to do, but in different forums, in different locations. And so you can go to the derbycon.com website. You can apply to become a Derbycom family, and you can get the support from myself, basically running this all right now. But to get sponsors, to get money, to help you create your own events, to really try to replicate what Derbycon was all about. We raise more money every year for charity than DEF CON and Black Hat combined. We really focused on helping others, bringing new people into the industry, trying to get people their careers started. Matthew Graber is a great example. Matthew Graber got his career started at Derbycon. Matthew Graber came up to me personally. He's like, "Hey, I'm new to this. I came from, this military branch. I'm looking at kind of breaking out. What do you recommend?" And I sat with Matthew Graber for, an hour, and lo and behold, he becomes Matthew Graber. And so, you want to be able to spawn and foster new people coming to the industry to make this industry a better place. And Derbycom was really started to really foster that, to help others create what we were able to accomplish at Derbycon itself.
Cool. So, as a conference organizer, maybe I'm, new and I don't understand what's going on, and I'm listening to Breaksec and I go, "Ooh, that's something I want to do." How would somebody get involved with the Derbycom, Derby communities? Is there a submission plan? Do I have to do a marketing plan or something?
What we recommend is that you go to derbycon.com and you can apply to become either a chapter, which is more of like a frequent meeting, whether it's weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, whatever. It's more of a group get together where we all share our experiences and try to make things better. A conference where you actually want to start a new conference, or a kids and community where, it's more teaching kids and our next generation. But you can apply for that. And we're not asking for a marketing plan. What we're asking for you is to understand your vision of what you want to accomplish. What do you want to do to make this industry better? And we validate those. And if you have a good proposal of like, "Hey, we want to help others learn about information security," you get approved and we help you out. You join a whole other community. There's a Slack channel dedicated to other people doing the same thing, where we're all sharing as a community to help each other kind of grow. And it's very much a collaboration. If you don't know what you're doing, we'll help you out. There's so many great people willing to kind of take it to the next step and kind of expand this for a greater purpose.
That's amazing. Yeah, I was glad to see that was going to continue to live on in some form or fashion, because that was the first conference I ever went to. I've been to B-Sides, but at the time it was very, very small and whatever. This was like on the same level of us. Like, well, I couldn't go to DEF CON and Black Hat, but I could go to Derbycon. And, if Mr. Betcher went, I think the year before, and I hadn't got a chance to go because he went to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I just went to 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And yeah, he was like, "Oh, it was so great." And I'm like, "Oh, I've got to go this year." So, yeah,
my first Derbycon was terrible, but after that it was great.
Yeah. I mean, everything else I've been to just doesn't have that same, same level, the same panache, that same little that energy you get when you're done. It's just not the same as the Derbycon.
Our goal with Derbycon is people don't understand the amount of planning that goes into a conference like that. And it is literally 6 or 7 of us that are just great friends building a conference. And we want the whole feel to be like it is you helping build that conference and helping others make it a community event. And when I say it's 6 or 7 of us, it's really probably 200 of us really building that conference, right? Everything from the staff, the events, the training, the security, all that stuff that goes involved. That's everybody contributing for free. They're giving their own time in life that they can't get back again to make something special because they believe in the mission that you're doing. And we started Derbycon, we started in a pizza shop. We're like, this is awesome. Let's try to do this. And we were hoping to break even. And if we didn't, I would have lost a second mortgage on my house. I literally would have to do a second mortgage on my house to make Derbycon 2 successful. Luckily, Derbycon 1 was widely successful. We didn't have to do that. But it's taking those risks. It's trying to help others, and it's really trying to make the community better. And people will argue there's no community. There's absolutely community. There's different communities working on different things. There's different people trying to help others, regardless of what that community is. It's all of us trying to make information security a place that's welcoming for everybody, that tries to help others, in need, and tries to make a world a better place. And that is what this community is about. That's what Derbycon was about.
That's awesome. Yep. Yeah, a lot of good memories at Derbycon. Yeah, it was fantastic. If you've missed out, so I'm going to Circle City Con in June. I've heard that one's very good. It almost like you need to have 2 to replace Derbycon. So I'm going to do Circle City Con and maybe 614 Con and that one next year. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Need to come to NOLACon. That's pretty good too.
Oh, NOLACon, yeah.
I actually really enjoy NOLACon. Definitely has a family feel. I'll be there myself. I'm speaking. I am a huge fan of NOLACon as well. Wild West Hacking Fest is another great conference.
Yep.
I haven't done the California one. I try to stay away from California like the plague. But the
nothing wrong with San Diego, man. Nothing wrong. Yeah.
But the Deadwood one is really phenomenal, and John and his team at Black Hills do a phenomenal job there at creating a great ecosystem for friends. Those are the 2 or 3 that I've really homed in, and Circle City is a phenomenal conference as well.
That's cool. So before we let you go, there was another tweet that came out, and you talked about the Dave Kennedy Center for Gaming and Leadership, and this is in your city of Bedford there. So tell us a little bit about how that came about. I mean, how do you just get your name put on something unless you gave them fat stacks of cash?
Funny story. So I really try to donate as much as I possibly can to charities, to helping others, to making people better, because I understand that not everybody has the same experience that I had, I guess, in life. And, when I look at my life, I was very, not to get all deep, but I had a set of great parents. They were just phenomenal parents growing up. They were always supportive of me. They were absolutely amazing. They divorced at a young age, but they still stayed together and for the best of me. But they were very much on the lower income side. We moved from city to city to city based on the job that they were taking. There was bankruptcies involved. There, came up from a very lower income type of family. And it's not an embarrassing situation. They did everything they possibly could to give me the best education possible, to give me the best life possible. They were great parents. And one of the places that I actually ended up graduating from was Bedford High School. And Bedford High School, their average median income is under $30,000, which was substantially lower than the average income for every state in the United States. And Bedford they have some great teachers there. I remember Mrs. Peterson, my accounting teacher, would always yell at me because I was mudding and coding in the middle of her class in accounting. Mrs. Dean is literally the only reason I graduated high school. I almost failed out of high school to pass, and she took a shot at me to get me through. And, I have been very successful in my careers with multiple businesses, kind of coming up through the Marine Corps. And then from there, kind of starting off, most people don't know this, but when I got out of the Marine Corps, I lived with my mom for a number of months with my wife at the time. She wasn't my wife at the time, but my girlfriend at the time, Erin. And then we ended up getting a small apartment complex in North Royalton and kind of growing my career from there. So I started from nothing to something. And what I really wanted to do was give something back to Bedford. And, gaming was very much negatively looked upon when I was a kid growing up, even though I gamed substantially. And that's, I really accredit a lot of my early programming skills and everything else to gaming. But it's completely different today. And I'm on the board of technology for Bedford High Schools, and they were looking at creating a gaming center for children to give them scholarship opportunities there. And Bedford is not known for being a very technologically advanced school district. And I really wanted to figure out a way to help kids that are in similar situations as me in a low poverty type of wage to help them out. And so I donated a substantial amount of money as well as guidance and structure to create a state-of-the-art gaming center. And what we also did is we partnered with the Cleveland Cavaliers and their esports team. We partnered with a number of Notre Dame here in Cleveland, a number of other ones, to help provide scholarship opportunities for kids so that they can actually get scholarship opportunities for gaming, computers, understanding technology, giving them opportunities that they never had before. And that was really important for me. I don't care about the name, to be perfectly honest with you. It's very humbling. It's very amazing that it occurred, that they named it after me. But at the same time, I know that there's kids that are going to have a chance in life that they never would have had before in the first place. And people that aren't necessarily good with sports. I wasn't great with sports. There's a kid there with multiple sclerosis that is one of the top kids on the team that is just killing it from an esports perspective. And they have the camaraderie that they have between other kids, where I remember, a kid with multiple sclerosis would have been picked on his entire life, through that. And now that it's a team camaraderie piece, you're changing people's lives. And that's what it's all about. I want to leave this world to be a better place than when I left it. And I really saw this as an opportunity. And believe me, I'm not done with this one. I want to build this out. I want to make it successful. And I want to model this for other schools and help other schools out, start to build this out so that they can give other kids opportunities that they would never, ever had in their entire life.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. And you're giving somebody a chance they may never have had. That's great, especially when if they could look back and, know that you helped them out. So, Dave, you've got a fair-sized organization. Are you perhaps hiring for positions? Somebody might be looking for a job. What kind of things are you looking for in right now?
Well, for right now at Binary Defense, we are pretty much always hiring. I think we're double the size now of TrustedSec, which we have grown leaps and bounds over that side, and just doing some amazing things from a monitoring and detection perspective, software development. We're looking for Python programmers. We're looking for F# and C# developers. We're looking for security analysts and SOC analysts. We're looking for threat hunters. You name it. We're looking for pretty much everything on that side. At TrustedSec, we're a little bit more tight-laced when we come to it. We usually hire based off of recommendations of folks that we know. We have a sales position open right now, but we're actually going to be opening up shortly for more junior and internship programs. We just promoted somebody that I've been a good friend with, Jason Ashton, that ran our sound and audio over at Derbycom, works at TrustedSec. And I just promoted him to the principal security consultant of training and development, which we're going to be hiring new juniors, new interns from different schools to help grow them in their next profession, whether that's at TrustedSec or other organizations, really give them the opportunity of kind of growing. So that'll be coming out soon. We're going to open up a number of positions there. We're going to be having a few positions open soon on the senior side around penetration testers, red teamers, application security, and research. So definitely keep posted on the TrustedSec site. We post them, and honestly, to be perfectly frank with everybody here, we usually get around 200 applicants, if not more, per position. So we actually go through all of those. We monitor them. But if you know us, you're friends with us, you've gotten to work with us on a different basis, you obviously have a upper hand for those. But we appreciate everybody that submits there. It's a pretty incredible experience to get such an amazing, overwhelming submission for those types of positions that we have. And I wish I could hire everybody. But at the same time, we got to look at what's best for that position, what's best for the culture, what's best for the long-term events of TrustedSec, and we kind of go through there.
Fantastic. Yeah. That's it's good to hear. It's good to hear you're having the problem of not, you're having too many people apply for jobs instead of not enough. So
I want to hire y'all. Seriously, I wish I could hire everybody.
Right on. Well, Mr. Betcher, Miss Berlin, we don't get Dave on all that often. Is there anything else you'd like to ask before we go? We're at the top of the hour, but the way everything is going to work out, I've lost a couple of minutes of audio. So I'll explain that in post. I explained that in post, so don't worry about it.
So, Dave, you got any stock options?
Just to our employees, unfortunately, at this point. But I don't plan on IPO. What's interesting is I started TrustedSec from the basement of my house. I took a career jump. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start a company in the basement of my house, and I think it can be successful. I hope that everybody takes that jump, that tries to do something on their own, because it is an amazing opportunity. I would have never guessed. Actually, Aaron and I were talking just together. And if you would have said that, we would employ over 300 people, between the companies, that would be something obtainable, we would have looked at you like you're crazy. And, chase your goals, chase your dreams, do things methodically, but, at the same time, keep it family. I just did a DISC profile. Is anyone familiar with DISC? DISC, right? And so D is also known as the dick, and then, but it's,
very aggressive.
Very aggressive, and you have the I and the S, which is more inclusive of everybody, want to make it a family feel. I am polar opposite to the right on the I and the S. Like, I'm balanced right in the middle of the I and S, where I want everybody to be family. I want everybody to be friends. I don't want conflict, which you look at all CEOs, they're like far Ds, they're like far left over here, right? And for me, I just want a place that I can work at where I can call everybody my friends, that they know that I would do everything for them, whether it's health, family, personal sanity, that I would do anything for them to make that possible. And whether or not that's the best successful model for business, I don't really care. I just want to enjoy me going to work and loving life for the people I work with, and making sure that what we're doing is the best for the people that we're doing the work for. And honestly, that is all I get out of doing these companies. I enjoy every minute of it. And it's a family thing for me. It's not a making money thing. Granted, I live a very great life, and I'm very, very blessed for that. But at the same time, I look at it as I'm helping others. And so we're probably not going to be IPOing any soon or asking for any stock options or anything like that. But at the same time, I look forward to hiring everybody in this world that wants to be a family-friendly organization, that wants to help others, that wants to be inclusive for everybody else, and wants to make a world a better place. So I'm going to take over the world someday. I just hope it's sooner than later. So
nice. Cool. All right. So Dave, if people wanted to, continue that conversation potentially towards employment, how would they find you?
So you can find me at Twitter at HackingDave. You can also find at TrustedSec at binary_defense. We also have a job recruitment area on the TrustedSec.com website and on the Binary Defense website.
Cool. All right. Ms. Berlin, tell everybody about your extracurriculars and what you're doing.
Let's see here. I'm not going to any conference in March.
Yay!
But we'll be training at NolaCon, so please sign up for my training. So we have more than 3 people.
Can I sign up?
Yes, it is so much fun. You would have a blast. It's like D&D. It's what we did for besides Cleveland last year, but now we turned it from 4 hours to 2 days. So it's all awesome. All tabletop exercises, hands-on, and then just D&D. So you get to roll into different groups, and you could be anything from a CISO to help desk to a lawyer, and it's super fun.
Check out. Amanda is an amazingly brilliant person, even though she won't admit it to me. She is awesome at what she does. I highly recommend her training.
Yes.
There you go.
Tell everybody everywhere.
Can I use my IT help desk plus 5 Vorpal Ethernet cable or something? Can I have that?
You have to roll for it.
Oh crap.
Everyone and we're having these custom dice towers made that are really super cool, so and everybody gets their own dice.
That's fantastic.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So to find out about all that fun, how would they find you?
At InfoSystir, INFOSYSTIR, or at InfoSec Roleplay.
All right, and Hackers Health.
And Hackers Health.
We're
doing lots of stuff. I am successfully completing my 2020 resolutions, which it means Amanda's delegating more.
Yes, excellent. I actually wore your purple Hackers Health t-shirt to the lecture yesterday.
Again, we were talking about t-shirts earlier. They're so comfortable.
I know, they feel so nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mr. Betcher, how about you? What is it that you do that makes you special, other than giving me your time and effort for the show?
My kids. No, really. What makes me special? Well, my day job, fighting the bad guys all day, and then I come home, play with the kids, and put everybody to bed, and then I'm off coding. Right.
Yep.
So I have this tool called LogMD, and you can read about it at log-md.com. And
fantastic.
Don't forget to put the dash in there, because if you don't, you'll get some proctologist in Wisconsin or something.
Oh, like okay.
Let's say
it's a different kind of log.
Whitehouse.com. Yeah.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at BetcherPwned, BOETTCHERPWNED, and log-md.com.
Right on. So March 4th was our monthly CSEC East. By the time this comes out, it will be after March 4th, so it won't matter. Hope everybody had fun. We sold out, so we had 40 people coming. I hope everybody showed up, and I'm not lying, but everybody signed up right now. If it's a local meetup here in the Seattle, Bellevue, Redmond area, if you're interested in checking it out for professional networking in the local Seattle area, first Wednesday of every month, you can find us on Meetup. BreakSec podcast can be found on Twitter at BreakSec, BRAKESEC, and you can follow me, Brian Brake, on Twitter at BRYANBRAKE. I don't have a cool hacker name or InfoSystir, BetcherPwned or anything. It's just my name. So you can. We will have the CFP for our conference up here in Seattle, InfoSec Campout 2020. It'll be August 28th and 29th and 30th at the same place it was last year if you came. So we're looking forward to doing that. It's not extreme camping. The place we camp is less than a half a mile from a Starbucks, so it's not like you all the necessary bits are still there. We're trying to, we've got full power, so you can come and charge your Teslas or your RVs or whatever. No problems there. So we'll have more information on that as it happens. We're making the Eventbrite links and everything now for that, but it'll be August 28th and 29th up here in Seattle. So, start looking at, ticket prices. It's going to be lovely. We are all about building community and family here. We're just not under the Derbycom banner. We're looking into that. So we have a Slack as well.
I think there's someone slacking, not replying to your emails.
Someone's slacking.
Yeah, it's probably me.
No, I silenced mine.
One thing I'd say is one thing we wanted to create with Derbycom is that anybody, regardless if you're using a Derbycon representation, can join the communities. Now, granted, I need help. So if anybody wants to help out with management of that, I'll pay you. I will pay you money.
I would, but I'm trying to get rid of stuff now. Not.
Yeah. If you want to make some money on the side and help out with management, like Excel skills, responding to emails, I would greatly appreciate that a ton.
No, okay. There you go. Cool. It's good to know that there's volunteer opportunities out there. So, so our Slack has been around for a while. We get a lot of positive feedback from it. If you're interested in joining that, you can send us a DM on Twitter using the BreakSec hashtag, the BreakSec handle, or send us an email to bds.podcast@gmail.com, and we'll get those back to you. We have a CTF book club, which is going through the Pact Publishing book, pen testing AWS environments, and that's Ben Caudle's book. I forget the other gentleman's name, but I think that's everything. Thank you to our patrons every month for donating money that helps with hosting, time and effort of putting out a podcast each week, and the Zoom that we're actually using to record the podcast tonight. So thank you to everybody who helps out with that. And we have a TPub store, so if you want to grab some t-shirts or mugs or anything, you can check out the show notes for our TPub link, and you can... I think Miss Berlin's face is still on a t-shirt over there. So
I was told I'm supposed to switch my face picture with my new headshot.
Oh, that's right. You got your headshots. That's right. I saw that. Yeah. Okay. Well, you can do that.
It's the best pictures I've ever gotten after spending 30 minutes in some random dude's basement.
Wow. That's lovely. That's lovely. At least you know.
You're welcome.
Was he going to show you his butterfly collection too, or something?
Right. Yeah.
Predator. Anyway, so I think we're done this week. We'll be back next week. We actually have some interesting interviews coming on about schools and ransomware. So we're going to have those recorded up very soon. And come and listen to how the other side is with regards to school and IT and infrastructure for security there. So I think it's going to be shocking and quite eye-opening for some folks. So that was it for this week on Breaking Down Security. Have a great week. Be kind to one another and take care of yourself, because you're only you have. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Peace.